I wouldn't have said Vue like 6 months ago at all, but I really like it now. I ended up finding a freelance position and I'm actually still with the agency now. I love Tailwind and I actually just tweeted about it the other day. My 8-year-old wants to, she wants to start a YouTube channel to learn to code with me.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Coffee with Developers, where we get to know the developers in our community. Today with Sarah Shook. She is a self-employed React and Vue developer. She's based in Texas and mom of 3. Welcome, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. So first thing I want to ask you actually is your bio says self-employed React and Vue developer. Which is your favorite?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. I'm going to go with right now it's a tie between Next and Vue. And like, I wouldn't have said Vue like 6 months ago at all, but I really like it now. I started working with it because we had a project. My first time I used Vue, we were working with Vue 3 and Next 2, I think. And it did not play well with our framework our CMS that we were using. So it was super slow and it just did not work well. So I did not like it. And then the project I'm on now, it's Vue 3, Next 3. And I've had to dive into things and it's a lot faster. And I still don't necessarily like the way that you have to have everything in tags, but I've gotten used to it now. I didn't used to like that at all.
Nice. You like the options API or the composition API better?
I think composition is the one that I use. I've used both of them. And then I also utilize composables from Next 3 as well. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Which makes your code super clean and neat because you can outsource all the stuff you want to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then we added TypeScript to the mix. So it's very clean once I, go back and refactor.
Cool. So can you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you even end up in tech? For how long have you been in tech? Can you give us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so officially front-end development about 3 years now, right? Yes, 3 years. Before that, I was a system administrator for a small online school. So I did a lot of PowerShell, and that's when I started learning JavaScript. And during that time, I didn't realize that you could for each, I didn't understand the difference of parameters and arguments and functions. And so if I had I would do different, instead of doing for I equals 0, I would do each function had a different letter for the variables. So, oh my gosh, I wish I could go back and see what it looks like. There was a lot of learning, but after I had my second and third kids, it just got really overwhelming to work and take care of them. So I stopped for a little bit, and then I ended up actually winning a boot camp on Twitter. And so I went through that boot camp, and then I ended up finding a freelance position, and I'm actually still with the agency now, 2 years later. And I ended up quitting the boot camp to go and do the agency work. And I started out just styling components with Tailwind. And then over time, I've gradually, started building my own sites or my own projects. And now I'm working on much larger projects.
Cool. You mentioned Tailwind. There's always this big debate online, Tailwind sucks or Tailwind is awesome. You still like Tailwind?
I love Tailwind, and I actually just tweeted about it the other day. And you can do anything with CSS, and I've been using it for 2 years, so I'm used to it. Writing something out is really fast with Tailwind, and then I don't know how much your viewers know about it. I know it depends on if you've used it, but Tailwind works really well with just plain old CSS or Sass, and it has an apply directive, so you can easily write global classes and then apply them throughout with a singular class name. So I really like using that for things like buttons and just different global styles. And then for my other components, I can do inline. But like the apply directive makes me really like it a lot because you can still make that clean looking code, you know, in the components. It doesn't have all the Tailwind mismatch of class utility classes, but you still can use them to develop speedily. Excuse me.
Yeah, I also really enjoy Tailwind, probably most because it forces me to write correct components. Because when you are forced to sort of like, because it's not really clean, right? You don't really want to see that in your code, so you want to try to put it somewhere else, so in a component, and then there it's nice and neat, and when you want to change something there, you have it there. So it's sort of, at least for me, it forced me a little bit into writing components that make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, because you definitely also want to keep it as short as possible when you're doing that too. So utilizing the best classes to make it as short as possible.
Yeah, because when you repeat yourself, you repeat like the entire classes, then very fast you're like, oh, no, I have to optimize this, right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Hello.
It's me. What's going on? Okay. I hope you can cut that out.
Yeah. So Sarah, are you working on any interesting projects you can tell us about in the present now or in the past?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of projects. So one of them is for a luxury lighting store. So I'm developing based on the designs for anywhere from tablets all the way up to 100+ inch TV screens. And some of them are 55-inch to 65-inch touch screens. And it's for shoppers who are in the store, and they can go and they can scroll and look at the product, and then they can click on the product image, and it's a full-size image of the product. And so that's been a lot of fun adding. It's been developing for you. You have to take into the account the touching and, you know, and then also non-touch, depending on what it is. And it's really cool to be able to develop for such big screens, you know. So that's my main project. And then I'm also doing some design work for a student information system for a school.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you said you have like this touch view. You also have it scrollable, probably with a mouse. Mm-hmm. Is it all the same site?
Yeah,
or do you have different sites for?
No, it's the same site. It's for their in-store, the touch screen and handling touch and mouse. It's for the in-store, and some of the screens are touch and some of them are not, but they still need to have the same functionality. So yeah, so depending on what the screen type is, you develop, or you either use a mouse to scroll or you don't. You just use your finger. So,
what is a challenge you encountered in that project? Because it sounds relatively simple, but I'm 100% sure it's not.
It's honestly, I think the biggest challenge has been just jumping in and learning everything. It's a really big code base. It's the biggest I've worked on, and it's we also have TypeScript, and I hadn't worked with TypeScript before this project, so it was a lot of learning types, which was interesting. And it's a lot easier, I feel like, to learn TypeScript when you start from scratch and build something out. And that's not how I learned it. It was some of the types were already in there. So I'm like having to figure out like how to map each one. And it was just a lot, for the first time using it. And then the other thing has been like doing test-driven development and implementing like Jest and Cypress and all these different tests and Jest I had never used before. So that was fun to learn. That's something I'm still trying to get better at, is writing like those types of tests, but it's a lot of fun. So I think as far as like the challenges, it's been having to just learn a lot, and then really starting, like, I didn't understand Nuxt 3, especially whenever I started. I didn't know how to use the composable. I didn't know how to like map the data from different places. And so just learning was a challenge. And now I'm there, but then there's always challenges. Like, for example, Storybook just because we updated from Yarn to PNPM. And so Storybook does not update peer dependencies to the correct versions automatically for you. So like and Storybook has a lot of they have a lot of old dependencies on they just released their newest version. So I think that'll be better. But so there's just always something, that's a little bit of a challenge, but that's what makes it fun too.
It's interesting. Most of the times when you ask someone what's the biggest challenge in this project, it's usually the code base or some dependency related things. All right, let's switch to one topic that I find very inspirational. Last time I interviewed you, it was like 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, and we talked about you being a stay-at-home mom while learning how to code. This is not entirely the case anymore. But you still work from home, and your kids are still there, so there are distractions.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, like, let's maybe start with what age range are your kids in?
Yeah, so when we originally talked, I had 2 toddlers, or 1 less than a toddler, but now I have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how is it like working? Which frequency of, let's say, interruption in work are you facing?
So before my husband started watching the kids, and now I worked, it was all the time. It was like every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes. I just recently, my husband was on a contract position and his contract ended. So we have some time, and I'm like, I want to focus now. I've been having to try to balance, working and also being the person who's taking care of the kids during the day. And he does a lot. So I'm not saying I did most or anything. We actually have a pretty good system where we're a good team together, but trying to work during the day is always like really hard. Especially whenever he was working as well. And now during the day, I still work, but I would say like every 30 minutes, I have my 5-year-old who likes to try to sneak in through the doggy door, or my 3-year-old, if he's like throwing a temper tantrum, he'll like lay in front of my bedroom door and kick at it. He knows it's bad and he gets in trouble for it, but he still does it sometimes. So like those types of distractions happen, every 30 minutes to an hour, even like with me being able to focus and like lock myself into the bedroom, they still find a way to come and like one of the things that I try to do, like, because they don't realize, like, some parents have to go to work all the time, and so the kids are like used to mom and dad not being around all day, and my kids have never had to deal with that with me. But my husband used to go out of town all the time, so they're not used to like me saying, hey, I need to work. They just so they just need attention sometimes. And so like I'll take breaks and play games with my 5-year-old throughout the day sometimes. And but yeah, no, I mean, they come in every 30 minutes to an hour at the minimum, probably every day.
Yeah, this sounds like next level hard to develop something or to get into something. Can you share maybe some of your technique with us, how you get back into what you were doing? Do you have some sort of mechanism for that?
It is really hard because I feel like, you do kind of a mental switch to go from like being the mom to like working on code. And so there's been so many times where I'm in the middle of trying to figure out like how to filter something in like a complex, like nested, like object array or whatever. And like, I'm in the middle of my train of thought and like I get interrupted. And so my way is probably not the best. I do not have a very great sleep schedule. So a lot of times I'm up late at night working. I was up really late last night working. And I just kind of try to go around their schedule. And then when I have the like energy, the mental energy to really focus on tasks at hand with work, I really try to take advantage of that, because not every day is like that. Some days it's hard to focus because of the interruptions sometimes. but like I really enjoy coding, and I really like that I have a job that I enjoy, and I like freelancing. And so it's something that, like, you know, some people code because it makes them money. I like code for fun too. Like I love like doing Tailwind and like creating animations just to like get better. So it's just a passion, I guess, and that makes it a bit easier because I like what I'm doing too, you know.
Yeah. So, do you have any advice for current parents that maybe hesitate to learn to code even, or to get a job in tech or whatever? Some piece of advice you can give them on their way?
Yeah, I guess like my piece of advice would be just do a little bit of it at a time. Like if you're scared because you can't make that much time commitment, it took me so long to be able to sit down and focus. Like I'd literally take 5 minutes and figure out one little tiny problem. And it was like this was even, you know, from last year, you know, and like since I've been able to spend more time coding, I've definitely grown exponentially. Like in the past 6 to 8 months, I know more, and I probably learned more than I did the past 2 years because I just didn't have the time and I didn't have the resources to be able to spend that much time coding. But I still did it, and throughout all of those all those small pieces, they eventually, you know, stacked up. And now that I have more time, the things that like I learned before, that I've already got that under my belt, you know, and so now I can focus on the more advanced concepts that I'm learning as I need to.
Okay, nice. So, I suppose your kids are not old enough yet, but maybe yes, that they show interest in tech,
Yeah,
in what you do.
my 8-year-old wants to she wants to start a YouTube channel to learn to code with me. So we might do that at some point. That's kind of the plan. But she wants to learn how to code. And then my other
Nice.
two, my 5-year-old comes and asks me what everything is. So I've explained things like objects and functions and those things in ways that they can understand, kind of. And so I think that both my daughters will be interested. And then my 3-year-old, he's not there yet, but
Yeah,
they see
yeah,
mommy
sure.
work all the time. And when I talk to my computer or yell at it when I'm mad, they're like, "You're telling it to do something wrong, mom. Why are you mad at it?" You know? So they know, like, they know what I do, and they'll come and watch me and like point to something on my screen, and I'll
Yeah,
explain what that is. And
yeah.
yeah.
I think I speak for everyone that's listening or watching this, that we definitely want to see you and your kids like learning how to code, because it would be like a super nice, like refreshing thing to have like a mother daughter, mother son uh, combo. And it's like it's always, you see always these questions. Explain me like I'm 5, and which is literally what you do. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. If you do this, like, send me a message. I will totally be there for to watch
Okay.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I've been telling her we will. I just have to finish getting everything set up. And but yeah, she really wants to do. I don't know if she's more interested in having the YouTube channel or learning to code. I'm just gonna, you know, say it's 50-50, but if it helps her, that'll help her in the future. Because even if, you know, she doesn't develop in the future, that type of like mindset and programmatically thinking will translate into other areas, you know, of her life eventually.
Yeah, I mean, alone having like your YouTube channel, it's like maintaining a community little by little, which is a skill itself. That, well, you learn it at 8, and then at 12, 13, 14, you are like a
Really good.
community master, right? So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know when we start it and we have some videos so that you can take a look.
Awesome. Yes. Let's change again the topic a little bit towards tech. What is the tech that you see, or maybe let's turn it this way. What's the tech that you're most excited about in the next, let's say, 4 to 5 years?
Oh
What you
my
see
gosh.
growing
You
most?
know, I feel like I've only really been doing front end for the past 3 years, but even before, you know, when I was first starting out, there's always some type of new framework that's comes out every couple of years, you know, and it's like, oh, should I choose this one? And, you know, is that one going to be the next big thing? And so, you know, I'm excited to see where Vue goes. Honestly, I really like working with it, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. I also am, I guess this is a little bit smaller, but I'm excited to see where vanilla CSS goes, because they're working on adding nesting, and hopefully they'll add some other features so that I don't have to always use Sass or SCSS, you know, when I want to do nesting. I do love my CSS though. So the CSS, vanilla CSS is going to have to like really catch up for me to probably switch over 100%, but I'm excited about that. Anything like front end, I want to get into like GSAP and you know, the different animation frameworks. I haven't really touched, I've touched like a little bit, but I'd love to like really dive into that and then see where those go as well. I love, like, one of the things I really like about when I'm doing things like animations, because yes, you can make anything animate the way you want with JavaScript, right? You can, you know, just,
yeah.
But a lot of times you can actually do it with just CSS with no JavaScript, unless it's a really, really advanced thing. So I always try to see how far I can go before I have to implement adding, you know, some JavaScript to it too. And usually I don't have to, unless it's something, you know, really specific. And I don't get to do a lot of fun CSS usually either, but I am developing a website for my best friend, and she's an artist. So I get to use like all the creativity. And so that's been a lot of fun, like I get to do the fun CSS for that, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think that doing animations with JavaScript comes from a time when CSS didn't even have animations. Like,
yeah,
having a timer or whatever, and then like increasing the left property of your thing. Oh my God, I don't even want to think about that.
I never even had thought about that, but you're right.
One last thing before I let you go. Do you have any hobbies that you're excited about that are not tech or coding related?
Yeah, so I like make little beaded bows and things like that. So I have one right here. I'll show you. But like,
show us.
I haven't done it in a while, but like, yes, those are all little teeny tiny beads. So that's what I do when I have time. That's probably like my biggest outside hobby, but I haven't done it in a few months.
It sounds pretty therapeutic doing something like that.
It really is, because you take a needle and you have thread and you like bead each, like you have to put each singular bead on. It's very relaxing. I like it.
Nice. All right. So thanks a lot, Sarah, for your time. Also, thanks for all your answers. And thanks to our audience for listening or watching to this. Sarah, I will see you on Twitter, and everyone else in the audience, see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye, Mark. Thanks so much for having me.